And welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're all having a great day. Please leave a like, comment down below what you thought of today's video, and don't forget to subscribe. If you're new to this channel, well, welcome to my channel here. I typically do a lot of franchise rebuilds, and we've been mainly focusing on the big series on this channel this year was the Bears. And if you've seen, or if you haven't seen any of the episodes, I would highly check them out. We've gone through 4 seasons with the Bears, and now it's time to kind of shift focus, shift gears to kind of wrapping up the series and trying to kind of see the careers of various players. You know, as we enter now into, I know college football is a big game, a game that I cannot play on this channel because I don't have a console. I don't have a PS5 or PS or an Xbox, a Series X or whatever. I play on the PC. So, you know, when Madden 25 comes out in August, we're going to be shifting gears over. So, what does that have to do, though, with the Bears? I typically play every single game. We go through, it's very slow getting through the season. But now it's time to kind of pick up the pace here and kind of see the careers of some of the players that we've brought in, that we have drafted. Players like Cliff Nicholson here, who we just drafted. I'm hoping that Nicholson can take the next step in the sim and become the franchise guy. I did this last year with the Texans. So at the end of last video, I talked about it a little bit, and I'm going to kind of give you guys a little bit of a recap of that. So I'm going to go year by year over the next now 6 seasons. So there will be 6 episodes going through an off-season, the regular season, and if we make it into the postseason. The only time that we will stop is if we make it to the Super Bowl. If we make it to the Super Bowl, I will stop, give it its own episode, and I will play it, and we'll hopefully win a championship. We have six tries basically to do so. There's guaranteed 6 more episodes of the Bears and seeing the careers of players like Cliff Nicholson, who we just drafted. Seeing how many more yards can DJ Moore become. You know, he just hit 30 years old. Of course, with Tyler Scott, Kendall Bush, you know, 2 more players that, you know, we want to see. You know, Bush was the first ever drafted player in this series. Will Bush become the true legitimate number 2 receiver that we drafted him to become? How will Jerry Gay progress as a playmaker? These are questions that we're going to be finding out every single season. I'm very excited to get into year 5. So in today's episode, we're going to go through the off-season as well as the regular season and the postseason. And we'll see how far we can get with this roster. So first and foremost here, let's go through retirements. I know that this is going to be kind of an all-over type of episode here, so there's going to be some things that I don't really highlight, but that I usually would in an off-season video, but I'll try to give you guys as much detail as I possibly can. To start off with is retirements. Khalil Mack, Cody Whitehair, Cameron Jordan, Derrick Henry, James Bradbury, and DeMarcus Lawrence all retired from the Bears. All these veterans we brought in to try to help us get to the Super Bowl, got us to the NFC Championship game. Really, the big loss here is DeMarcus Lawrence, who had 11.5 sacks, was a very good playmaker for this defense. So we have a lot of work to do to try to put together a very good roster. Before we sim, I want to go through the roster with you guys very quickly and kind of just go through my thoughts on how to improve this team. Quarterback-wise, I think we're good. I know that Cliff Nicholson had his struggles in the postseason. He had his ups and downs. He very much did. You know, if you look at the 3 playoff games, every single game he actually increased his turnovers, and he very much did not do very good against the Falcons. He was really terrible. I'm hoping that Nicholson can develop very nicely throughout the season as these seasons go on. He's only entering into year 2, so You know, we have a little bit of time with him in his rookie contract to build a Super Bowl roster around him. For a quarterback like Christian Murray here, you know, entering into year 3, ranked 42, he might be a trade candidate in the upcoming seasons, but for now, he's still going to be our backup quarterback. Running back in this offseason is kind of an important one for me. You know, we have Jonathan Howard, we have BJ Cash, but due to the fact that I'm no longer using them, I don't really know how I'm gonna want to set this team up. You know, we traded for Elijah Mitchell. Do we try to bring him back for another season or so? He has some interest in staying here as a Bear, so, you know, do we want to keep him as the number 2 back on this roster? I don't think it's a bad idea, but running back is kind of a need in my eyes, especially because Howard's contract has 1 more year left, and he does have a 5th-year option that we're going to decide on if we want to keep him. DJ Moore, of course, is our top-tier wide receiver. We re-signed Tyler Scott. Kendall Bush is another interesting one. 26 years old. The new contract won't hit until he's 27, but only an 81 overall. Do we need, realistically, another playmaker? That could be an option for us in this up-and-coming offseason and free agency. You know, playmaker is definitely something that's on my mind. What do we do with Cole Clement? You know, he's $11 million. He's not a starter. I really like Jerry Gay to become the guy, but can Gay stay healthy? I don't know right now. In terms of the offensive line, you know, we have Pat McLean that can probably step into a starting spot somewhere, but, you know, we have Connor Williams. We have Jonah Williams here, Kendrick Green, Spencer Bradford. All of them are entering into free agency, so depth across the offensive line, in my opinion, is extremely important. Defensively, let's start on the defensive line that got us, you know, 90+ sacks this past season. You know, Josh Allen just hit 30 years old. He has 3 more years on his deal. How much can Allen really continue to improve and continue being a leader of this defense? I don't know just yet. Chuck Gardner coming off of his breakout season, got superstar development. Can Gardner continue producing as a top-tier pass rusher and as an excellent run stopper? I don't know just yet. Deion Kemp here, who we drafted last year, we're finding out he has star development. Is he going to become a starter now because he's young and he's strong and he can do a little bit of everything? He can pass rush, he can stop the run. That's another question. Of course, across the defensive tackle range, I mean, we brought in Grady Jarrett to help out somewhere, but Jarrett's now a free agent, 34 years old, 77 overall. You know, he's still starting potential-wise, in my opinion, or caliber-wise, so defensive tackle is still, in my opinion, a need. But if Rovon Dexter here, if he decides to leave us, you know, we then need desperately a defensive tackle, and then you throw on top, you know, we do have Cortez Watkins here, 75 overall, who can do a little bit of everything pretty well, especially power moves, so do we give him an opportunity? Do we kind of go young across the front for this defense, especially this interior? I don't know just yet. Of course, we have Tyler Chamberlain. That's a next year's type of problem. But we have to make a decision here on Tremaine Edmonds, Michael McFadden here. If we don't bring these 2 guys back, you know, we don't really have a hole as the starting 2 linebackers, but we have a hole at least in the inside. Steven Timmons here, we extended, so I'm happy about that. And then in the corner room, I mean, we have our 3 guys. We know that for a fact. It's just moving forward. Do we need to add a 4th guy or maybe a 5th? CJ Gardner-Johnson, 2 years left on his deal. Safety, kind of a concern. What do we do with Eddie Jackson? He's the lifelong Bear on this roster. Do we decide to, you know, he still has starting potential, in my opinion. He still has solid enough speed. He has still good coverage ability. So do we keep Eddie Jackson for another year? We saw Danny Reeves break out. Do we try to pair him up with someone else? We have Jordan Battle still under contract. Jonathan Abram. Is he going to be a player that we move off of finally? You know, he's kind of been on this roster as a special teamer, and he's been a good player for us. So we'll see. We have to figure out also punter in this offseason. So there's a lot of moves that we're going to be making. There's some trades that I'm definitely going to want to be doing. We saw the Las Vegas Raiders are now the Super Bowl champions. And a little fun fact for you guys with the Raiders and their starting quarterback, Will Tuitt, I believe is his name. Tuitt here is actually the first ever player drafted in this series. So the first ever drafted player gets a ring, and he helps out the Raiders as he just hits superstar development, I believe. But let's sim to the next week. Let's go through any sort of re-signings, anything that we have to do, and then we'll get right into the offseason. I've already kind of taken a lot of time going through this, so I'll start spinning up in this video. So we have $99 million to work with, and some players that we have to consider re-signing, and some players that we have to give a 5th-year option to, as well as some players that definitely we want to try to keep. Let's start here with the 5th-year options here. So for Max Cox here, 25 years old, $23 million. That's a lot of money for a player that already wants to be here, I believe. You know, he has all the motivations, you know, he has everything. Do we want to keep him for an extra season, kind of push it off for another year? I think that kind of makes the most sense here for Max Cox. As well as I think it makes the most sense here with Jonathan Howard. It's only $9 million. He does not have a ton of interest in staying. So I would rather give this to him, have him at least guaranteed on this roster for another 2 seasons, and kind of move forward with him. With Kendall Bush, though, no matter how much it pains me to do this, I don't want to pay him $21 million right now, and I think we could get him cheaper, extending him if we wanted to keep him. So we're going to reject this 5th-year option. So now, with all these other players, like from Elijah Mitchell, Sky Moore, and all of these other guys, I'm going to let them all test. Even Eddie Jackson, I don't think there's going to be a player in this group that I would like to keep. I mean, Michael Dixon maybe, but for now, I'm not going to worry about these contracts just yet. Some of these guys are depth players. Some of these guys aren't needing my attention. For both Dexter and Tremaine Edmonds here, this is kind of where I think it just makes the most sense to either tag one of these guys, and maybe it makes more sense to tag Dexter over Edmonds, just because Edmonds would be just a trade piece for us. We kind of already have his replacement on the roster. But for Dexter here, he's our best defensive tackle. I've been working on this contract with him for a while now, and I would really like to keep Dexter. So I'm gonna increase this offer, a 2-year, $32 million deal. It's a very high price salary for a defensive tackle, but I think it's important. And Dexter does re-sign, so because of that signing, it does kind of make things interesting here with Tremaine Edmonds. Edmonds, who wants a 4-year contract, right around $17 million. That's not something that I really want to be paying him, but maybe we do a tag and type of trade here. Now, if he's willing to take a little bit of less money for the next 2 seasons, absolutely I would like to keep him around, but if he doesn't take this 2-year, $28 million deal, we're probably going to tag and trade Tremaine Edmonds here. And I enjoy playing for you, but I think I'm going to test free agency. So we're going to tag Edmonds here, $18 million. That's fine with me. And we're going to find a trade partner right away for Edmonds. I know he's a franchise caliber player, but I think that moving off of him makes more sense. Go to younger guys. We have Steven Timmons on this team. Same with Tyler Chamberlain. We have the players. So let's go try to find a trade partner or two. And a deal has been made. We're trading Tremaine Edmonds to the Tennessee Titans, getting their current 2nd-round pick, a 4th next year, and a 7th this year, with Jason Cannon here, guard. We do need an offensive lineman because Johnny Derby's being kicked back into center. We need a right guard, and I think Cannon can be, he's going to play left guard for us. And he's star dev. He's a good offensive lineman. He can help us out in the running game. So I think this is a good move to start off free agency with. And how about another trade here? We're trading away both Matt Dumb and Cole Clement to the New York Giants, getting their next year's second and third round selection. So nothing impactful this year for us, but we're moving off of Matt Dumb, where the Giants need a wide receiver and they need a tight end. And, you know, Clement is just not going to become a starter for us. I like Jerry Gay a lot, and we kind of dumped some salary onto the Giants. And Dumb can become their number 2 wide receiver immediately. And Dumb just doesn't get on the field enough for me to kind of warrant this. So kind of getting some future capital for upcoming episodes, really. Well, okay, so I just went into free agency here. As you guys can see at the top, we have active negotiations, 5 out of 5. I have no targets right now. So Madden's just being buggy, I guess. And we can't negotiate here in the first stage, so I'm gonna have to sim to the next week here, and we're not gonna be able to target any of these players to improve this roster in any sort of way. So I have to sim just to get some sort of space here, and yeah, guys, I'm sorry. So I was pretty active here in free agency, so here are all the signings, and this is basically free agency for us. We brought back Michael Dixon here, brought back Elijah Mitchell, we brought back TJ Edwards, who was off the team for the last couple years. Michael Gallup is a new 4th wide receiver for us. Nate Davis, after we moved off of him, I think a year ago. Jack Conklin coming in to be depth on the offensive line. Eddie Jackson is back. Jonathan Jones here for mentorship at corner. Aaron Brewer, the new backup center. Kendrick Green is back. Darnell Washington, the new backup tight end, as well as Jameis Winston is back. So a lot of these guys are on, you know, veteran minimum contracts for us. I don't see all of these guys really getting so much action. A lot of these guys are filling in depth and filling in kind of just, you know, mentorship type of roles, as well as just like overall just helping out the roster in that sense. So my focus is now turning to the draft, as we kind of filled out a majority of the roster. So as we turn to our focus to the draft, we have the 29th overall selection. We just got the 50th overall pick from the Titans. We have 3 second-round draft picks, so we should definitely consider trying to trade up in this up-and-coming class. We have a 3, a couple 5s, a 6, and a couple 7s. So we do have a lot of picks here, you know, 4 in terms of the top 61. So we should definitely consider trying to trade up and try to maximize the value of our selection. So it should be a fun draft class, at least trying to get some new premier talent on the roster. But first, let's look around the league and see where players headed off to. Tyreek Hill going to the Seattle Seahawks. Derwin James going to the Patriots. Marcus Williams also going to the Seattle Seahawks. So it looks like New England and the Seahawks here got the top 4 players. Vita Vea going to the Rams. Kevin Byard going to the Titans. LA was very involved here. Malik Hooker, Kyle Duggar, as well as Connor Williams are all going to them. A couple kickers are still available. Bobby Okereke going to the Bills. Not too many players, at least within our division, that I see. There's a couple of Marvin Mims and Ryan Neal here going to the Packers. But not too many moves here in regards to our division, which is kind of nice to see, I guess, in some type of light here. Mike Evans going here to the Commanders. So now our focus will turn to the draft and see what we can add to the team. As the 2027 draft has begun, as the Browns have the first overall selection. But before we kind of get into this, let's kind of give you guys a little bit of more of a roster update. Let's just generate the best lineup currently right now. So, you know, I think across the board, we have our 5 starting offensive linemen moving into this up-and-coming season. I think we have our backs for this up-and-coming year. I think we have our top 3 or 4 wide receivers, our 2 tight. I think our offense is basically set. Though, I still think wide receiver is one of our two big needs on this roster. DJ Moore is 30 years old right now. How much longer can he really stay at this high-end, 14 or 1,300 yard plus type of receiver, 10 plus touchdown type of receiver? I don't know. And receiver is kind of a bigger need in my opinion than maybe some of you might. Kendall Bush here has yet to be a 1,000-yard receiver, 26 years old. He might be a borderline number 2, number 3 guy, and that's not good enough for this roster. We need someone to step up. Tyler Scott, I don't know how he's gonna play in terms of the sim, but I know he can be a very good high-end number 2 wide receiver. So we need to kind of find out, I don't think it's time to find out who the next number 2 guy is. We just need to bring in a third young receiver to really kind of push the needle a lot. I do think tight end could be a kind of like a dark horse type of position that we could end up drafting. I like Jerry a lot, but he's dealt with a lot of injuries. I don't know how he's gonna play in this sim. I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt, but we shall see, of course. We will focus on the right side more of the offensive line. Both Derby and Cannon are still under contract, and we have Pac McLean to kind of take over Braxton Jones' role if we don't want to pay him. Defensively, well, we have our starting defensive tackles. We have our 3 young guys. We have Gardner, we have Allen as our 2 edge rushers, with Kemp and Bailey could be our backups. So we're kind of secured here at defensive line. It always could be a spot that I could draft. Corner, we are 3 deep. I do think drafting another corner could really benefit us. In terms of linebackers, Steven Timmons and Tyler Chamberlain are going to be our 2 guys. Stevens goes back to inside linebacker. And I think TJ Edwards as that run stopper, kind of that third linebacker on this roster, will very much help us out. He's still a good tackler. He's good in the base defense, but that's really it. And then, due to the fact that CJ Gardner-Johnson only has 2 years left on his deal, I do think that considering drafting a safety should be a position group to consider here. So, what does that mean in terms of this draft class, in terms of players that I really, really like? Let's view the board real quick. So, in terms of both wide receiver and safety, Ben Tate, in my opinion, is a clear-cut top-tier wide receiver. If we want him, we should go get him. He has everything that you want. He's strong, he's good height, he has good speed, he can do a little bit of everything very well. Is he kind of like a prototype of Kendall Bush? Potentially, but I do really like him. Anthony here, Doug Anthony, I think is another good wide receiver for us to consider. Those are my top 2 guys in terms of the receiving position, and I would like to end this draft class at least with one of them. In terms of the safety position, well, there's a few safeties that are in this class that I do really like. Trent Shetfield here, hybrid type of safety, might need a little bit of time to develop, but he's very fast. And due to the hybrid, I think he's going to be good in both man and zone coverage, which could really help us out. Trent here could be definitely on the table. In terms of strong safety, Steven Shepard here, kicking him out to free safety would, I think, still work. 23 years old, also very fast. He's also that hybrid type of safety. I think if we can end up with one of those 2 guys, we kind of win this draft class. Corner-wise, Victor, I've talked a lot about. I really like Victor a lot. We'll see if we could potentially try to get him on this team. There's a good amount of talent in this draft, so we'll see if there's any really possible way to end this class with a couple good studs. But we're going to kind of sim through the first round as we normally do, and then we're going to start speeding things up. So I'm going to be basically keeping an eye on those 4 players because I am looking to trade up. So not looking though to trade up to the top 5. Cleveland. first pick of the class, they go Ramon Stevenson, an excellent pass rusher. The Rams got themselves another pass rusher, so back-to-back edge rushers go off the board. The Cardinals go another pass rusher. This is a very much of a defensive-heavy class, and it's been only defense as Waddle there goes off the board. First quarterback, Chris Hartman here, goes to the Pittsburgh Steelers. As Eric Wide's another pass rusher, so it's only been basically pass rushers and defensive players. There goes Ben Tate. So Tate's gonna kind of fill in for Mike Evans and Chris Godwin now here for the Bucks. And that kind of forces my hand here on Doug Anthony to be now my top tier target here. No, I'm not looking to trade here just yet. Mike Gills is off the board. I don't know really when these guys are gonna go off. Ian McDonald here going to the Green Bay Packers, already giving up on Andrew Sidney, who they just drafted. That's kind of an interesting move. There goes Steven Shepard. So, two of my guys are already off the board. So, do we try to make a trade here? That's the question. Colts do not want to budge to trade us the 11th overall selection. It's kind of just too much right now. As they go Eric here, top corner here. Gonna wait a few selections. There goes Zach. Now the Lions not trading with them as they go a corner here. Now here comes the Niners. I think this is a spot that we could try to trade up. Let's see if I can make it. And a deal has been made here as the Niners are receiving a haul here. We're giving them 2 second-round picks this year and a 5th this year. Next year, a 2 and a 3, and then a couple years from now, another 2. So we're giving away 1, 2, 3, 4 second-round selections, a 3rd and a 5 to get to the 14th overall pick. We have a bunch of 2s over the next few seasons. We have a lot of selections, and I think trading up here just makes the most sense for us. Now, that does keep us having the 29th overall selection as well. So I wanted to try to keep that to allow us to make another selection here in the first round. And I think that this is a clear-cut decision between Anthony and Doug right now, or Doug and Sheffield. I think Sheffield will still be on the board at 29. So I'm taking Doug right here. We need a playmaker at the receiver position. He's 21 years old. He has good speed. I really like Anthony a lot, and I just want him on the roster. So Doug Anthony, he's the selection, 92 speed, hidden development. Welcome to the Chicago Bears, and he has an opportunity, I think, to really push to become really our third or second receiver on this roster. So let's continue moving through the first round. We still have one more selection to make here in the first round. I'm not looking to make any more trades. I am very happy with getting Doug here. It's just now, can we end the first round with getting a getting the safety? Well, that would be massive for us, as we're seeing players go off the board left and right. No one yet to call out. There goes a safety, not the one that I want. Pass rusher goes off the board. There goes Victor going to the Bengals. Really like him. He's 6'4". There's a lot of good defensive tackle depth across in this draft, as now we are on the clock after the Cowboys drafted another running back. So we're on the clock here. If you guys want to see currently our selections, we still have a 2, a 3, a 5, a 6, and a couple 7s. So we still have a couple selections to be made. And as of right now, you know, we still have a good amount of players on the board. I do think taking Sheffield here makes the most sense. You know, in terms of all of these other positions, you know, in terms of drafting a running back right now, I just don't think it makes the most sense. Maybe in the second round. We already drafted a receiver. We don't need to do that. Offensive line depth, I think, can come later. Edge rush, we're kind of set there. And defensive tackle, I'm going to go with the young guys that we currently have on the roster. So with that being said, I think it makes the most sense here to draft Trent Sheffield here. be our future starting safety, Trent. And this also gives us a 5th-year option with him. So Trent's the selection, normal dev, 90 speed. He's a good athlete across the board. Sheffield, will he be the future at safety for us? So now, I'm gonna now just sim to our selections and just kind of make the pick and show you guys who I select. And here in our 2nd round selection, Christian Ryans will be the selection. Right guard for us is B, run and pass. 23 years old out of Texas. He will be the selection. Hidden development, 88 strength. Christian Ryans could be potentially our future starting right guard for us. Here in the 3rd round, we're gonna take Ben Allen here. Just solid depth, C's across the board. Just need someone, just need a body on the roster, really. Here in the 5th round, Karon Harris here is an interesting talent. I'm mostly intrigued by him. 21 years old out of Florida, outside linebacker, normal dev, 80 speed, 81 strength. Maybe a bust here, more of a special teamer for us. Here in the 6th round, we're gonna take Kinlaw Killing here. 22 years old, defensive tackle with good finesse moves. Hopefully some solid strength, 88 strength. Killing hopefully will provide a little bit more of a pass rush. Here in the 7th round, Dion Maxwell, running back, 5'5", pretty intrigued with Maxwell. 88 speed, solid athlete across the board. Maybe become a good receiving back, kick returner for us, I don't know just yet. And then with our last 7th round selection, Darren Yarbrough here. Right tackle will be the selection, 87 strength, 22 years old out of Temple. And here's the draft class, ladies and gentlemen. I think we made some good selections here. Doug Anthony here, 21 years old, hidden dev wide receiver. Excellent short route running, medium accurate, or medium route running as well. Not much of a deep threat, but could become a shifty slot receiver. He's a playmaker archetype, which I like. Trent Sheffield, 77 overall, normal dev though. But from day one, I think he could become our future strong safety for us. He has good coverage ability already, good hit power. Just kind of got to work on the run stopping skills. And I think Sheffield could become our guy in a couple seasons. Christian Ryan, 73 overall, hidden dev. Much more of a run blocker than a pass blocker. But, you know, I think he has a lot of skills to really kind of rely on. And I like him. That 80 injury does kind of have a pause for concern for us. But do like that selection for us. Ben Allen here is 76 overall. Here's Karen Harris here, who is a 71 overall. He will be moving to the other side of the linebacker, so he'll be playing right outside linebacker for us instead of left outside linebacker. But 71 overall for what, the 5th round? I think that's an excellent value selection. Then Killing here is 65. Dion Maxwell, 68 overall, the 6'5" running back, who might have some skill set at least in the return end. Doesn't really, he's not the best return man, but interesting prospect at least. We got some interesting prospects across the board. I think we got, in truth, we kind of got, you know, 3 future starters potentially, and Harris here could be a 4th with a couple quality depth players on the team. We look across the board here, in terms of the draft, the Patriots got the best player at 82. The Packers here got an 80 overall quarterback, and Steven Shepard here is an 80. Ben Tate here was a 79. Trent Sheffield, 77. So, you know, we missed out on the top 2 players, but we might have gotten some of the better backups, at least in this in this past draft class. Let's quickly go through our divisional rivals here, and then we'll get into the regular season action. So for the Vikings, they went defensive tackle and safety. So they got kind of fixed up a little bit of their defensive line. So that should help them. The Packers here, we know they got a quarterback. They got another running back on the roster with a solid defensive tackle for the future. So they mostly wanted to get themselves a fix here at quarterback. And then for the Detroit Lions here, we had a very good class. They got a good corner, another safety with a good center here. So they were able to add in a couple good quality players to the team. So I set up the roster for how I want it for the beginning of year number 5 that we'll go throughout today. It's a long episode, I know, ladies and gentlemen. I've already been recording for over a couple hours. So we know that Cliff Nicholson is our starting quarterback. It's time for him to take year number 2 for him to the next level. We're going again with Jonathan Howard as our lead back. We have Elijah Mitchell, BJ Cash, and Maxwell to back him up. I'm very happy about this. Doug Anthony will be our 4th receiver. Michael Gallup will kind of just be the depth across the receiving room. We have a good offensive line, bringing in Cannon in this past offseason. Ryans is also on this team. We'll see how this offensive line will produce with Jerry Gay as our starting tight end. For the defensively, staying with the 3 corners all in the same spot. Johnson and Cox on the outside. Dalton Kelly is playing in the slot. CJ Gardner-Johnson, Danny Reeves are 2 safeties. Steven Timmons and Chamberlain will be our 2 linebackers. This will be our base front 4. And then when we go into our 2 linebackers and nickel spots, Cortez Watkins will step into the other defensive tackle role. BJ Cash will be our 3rd back. Tyler Scott in the slot. Sheffield as well as Anthony will be the backups in terms of the slot. And here's the practice squad for us. A couple defensive linemen. You see Killings, Youngborough is on this team. A couple players from last year's draft class. So a few players that you guys should recognize on the practice squad. And then in terms of this up and coming draft class, these are going to be the scouts for us. So focusing on the running back and the tight end position, just because both Jerry Gay and Jonathan Howard, I don't know how long these 2 guys are going to be on this roster. We do need to kind of find out, between Martinez and Cortez, if these guys will be the long-term fixtures at defensive tackle, and we just need to find another offensive tackle. And then I want to focus on some running backs and receivers, some more tackles and defensive ends, and middle linebackers and tight ends. So kind of very much playing not too much in terms of corners and receivers and safeties. I'm focusing on this class. It's mostly on the offense and the defensive line. So I'm gonna go through this season. There will definitely be a stoppage at the midway point, but I'm gonna be sitting week over week, and I'm gonna stop and show you guys where the progress is with this roster. So let's go have some fun here. Here comes year 5 of the Chicago Bears franchise rebuild. So we're about a month away through the season. We're 2-2 across the board. Right now, we are very good at stopping the run. As you guys can see down below, we're struggling against the pass. Our defense isn't allowed as many points, but offensively, we're struggling to run the football, but we're putting up solid passing numbers and putting up some points here. Let's do a little bit of a stat update. I've yet to really see it myself. Cliff Nicholson, 7 touchdowns, 4 picks so far through the first month. Not a running game whatsoever for us. Nicholson has been running more than I kind of expected him to. Tyler Scott's and Jerry Gay as our leading receivers, as Moore and Bush now aren't doing that much here in this sim. I gotta see DJ Moore at least produce for this offense. In terms of the offensive line, a few sacks allowed. Evan Neal is the one who is struggling at right tackle for us. Little bit of a heartburn there. Defensively, Cortez Watkins stepping up, 3 sacks. Chuck Gardner providing for us, 3 sacks, 2 for Allen, and Steven Timmons has 1 of his own. And then a few interceptions across the board. Even Trent Sheffield here has an interception, so good job by the rookie. And then I do want to look at contracts right now. We are 2-2, so not going to really overreact. The whole division is tied up here. We have $80 million, and oh my, Tyler Chamberlain wants a 7-year, almost $200 million contract. Oh my God. How, I mean, he wants to be paid top tier dollar. My goodness. Does not have any interest in coming back here as a Bear. I don't know if we can pay him this much money. I mean, he's an off-ball linebacker in our scheme. He is not a pass rusher. That's a decision to make. Kendall Bush wants a 3-year, $24 million deal. Brad wants a 1-year deal. Braxton Jones wants a 3-year deal. Evan Neal. Oh my. Some of these players here have been on the roster for a long time. So if we're kind of, and then, you know, Beach wants a 3-year, $20 million deal as a kicker. My goodness. And then Johnny Derby and Chuck Gardner, their 5th-year options are up. We have $80 million to work with. Okay. Well, this changes a lot. This contract here changes a lot. Because I kind of went into this thinking that we could re-sign Tyler, give him a long-term extension, and we would have our 2 linebackers for the future. But, you know, he wants to be paid top dollar here, and you know, he's a great player. I don't know if I can give him this contract just yet. Kendall Bush, I mean, Bush is kind of a prove it type of situation for me right now, and that's hard for me to say about Bush. Brad, Braxton Jones, none of these guys other than Tyler is really desperately needing to come back to us. Everyone else, I would be okay if we had it to let them go. But yeah, I don't know just yet. I don't know if we can even pay Beach or 3. I don't know if I can pay a kicker $7 million this season. Yeah, let's sim a few more weeks and then I'll make my decision if I want to try to start negotiating with Tyler and others. Well, we have made it to the trade deadline. We're 3-4, and the entire division is right now very tight-knit. It's looking like we're going to be a top-tier passing offense, good at stopping the run, but struggle against the pass and struggle in terms of running the football. Yeah, right now I don't really know if I have yet to truly make my decision on Tyler Chamberlain right now. I think for Kendall Bush, for him to get an extension with us, it's going to be at the end of the year. Brad, it's kind of the same thing. Braxton Jones, this is an interesting one. We have his backup already in Pat McLean, ready to go. Evan Neal, I mean, Neal has struggled already, so I'm not thinking about him. Angelo Martinez, he's a good run stopper, but I think we could find another defensive tackle like him in the class. So in truth, it's really, do we want to pay $200 million to Tyler Chamberlain right now? We have the money to do so. I think for its best right now if we hold off. I think we're gonna sim now until a little bit halfway, or we're gonna sim a good portion now, and then I'll give you guys a little bit of an update. Well, it's right around, we just got past week 12 here, and we're 4-7. The division is still very tight here. Not the year that we're wanting, and now we're gonna face against the 11-1 Las Vegas Raiders, having a fantastic season. It is tough sledding for us right now. Here in year 5, Cliff Nicholson is not having himself a good year at all. 16 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. My God. He has very much struggled throughout his sophomore season. That's an issue. Jonathan Howard has mostly just kind of found the end zone for us, under 4 yards per carry. And then Tyler Scott leading the team, 704 yards. Jerry Gay helping Kendall Bush having a good year. DJ Moore is regressing. That's not good. Something has to change with this roster here. Evan Neal has struggled at right tackle. Yeah, I think we have to bench Evan. He has given up a sack just about every game, it seems like. Defensively, Josh Allen leads us with 6 sacks. We're getting a collective unit of sacks, but, you know, where the heck is Dexter? Dexter has 0 right now. And then no one is turning out in terms of turnover machine. Yeah, we're going to have to figure something out here. There has to be a change on this team somewhere. So, guys, we have made it to week 18. And where you guys last saw, we were going to play against the Raiders. We beat them. We beat them 10-9. And then we went on this 4-game winning streak, or 3-game winning streak afterwards, to put us at 8-8. We just lost to the Cowboys here. And as you guys can see, I did not force any wins or losses here. You know, we had a slow start. You know, lost the first game, won the next 2, lost the next 2, won, lost 2, 4 more, and then won a bunch. And now we're at a position here at 8-8 now that we could potentially not just win the division, but get to the postseason. We're 8-8. We hold our own destiny here. The Vikings are right behind us at 7-9. I believe that they have a chance to make the postseason. I would at least assume so. Yeah, we have not clinched anything. And, you know, we could become a wild card team with a loss. This is interesting right now. Currently, if the playoffs started right now, we would be the 4th seed, and we do not see the Vikings in this. Currently, right now, it's the Seahawks with Justin Fields is the number 1 seed here in the NFC, which, of course, not something that you guys want to see, not something that I want to be seeing, because I moved off of Fields. In terms of Cliff Nicholson, kind of having a good second half of the year, 26 touchdowns, 17 interceptions, struggled throughout this year. Jonathan Howard, 800 yards and 14 scores. He's kind of become our bell cow. Jerry Gay, 7 more yards until he hits 1,000 yards. Tyler Scott having a good year. DJ Moore kind of picked it up when I needed him to. Kendall Bush, kind of having a Kendall Bush type of season. In terms of the offensive line, I did put Pat McLean out there. He has given up a bunch of sacks, but I think just tackles naturally just give up a lot. Steven Timmons is leading the way in tackles for us. In terms of sack production, Josh Allen, Gardner, and Watkins here are all kind of close. Martinez, who's not even a pass rusher, has 6. He is he's only playing in the base defense for us. He's on this roster to stop the run, and he's getting more sack production than even Dexter, who currently is just a run stopper for us. Good run stopper, which I'm happy about. But because of the fact that we reached week 18, this is kind of the spot to really sign. This is the last opportunity to sign someone before that they kind of just hit the open market. And Tyler Chamberlain number is just going up right now. He wants a 7-year, almost $210 million. This is a boatload of money for a very good player. And I am going to offer this to him. I've been thinking about it. I am going to give him this offer. Even if he denies it and he's thinking that free agency would be a better fit for him, even so, I am leaning towards franchising tagging Tyler right now. In terms of Kendall, I'll think about it a little bit more. Preston Jones, I'll think about it. I kind of want to see regression, what that does to him. In terms of Martinez, he's kind of showing his value right now. It's just, I don't know if I can give him this. I mean, it's only a 2-year deal though. Martinez will give him this offer. He does re-sign. He's been a good player. He does deserve it. In terms of BJ Cash, probably not. And everyone else here, it's really then, do we want to keep Beach and Cam Richardson? Kind of 2 later on type of contracts to think about. So Tyler Chamberlain is most likely going to be kind of slapped with the franchise tag. So we'll see. Let's see if we make the postseason, ladies and gentlemen. And the Chicago Bears did win the division. Here in year 5, we went 9-8. So 9-8, won the division. So we've made the playoffs. We're back in the wild card action. We're going to be playing against the Carolina Panthers. We did beat the Cincinnati Bengals here. So can we go on a big playoff run here? We actually ended up as the number 3 seed again. So again, we face against the Carolina Panthers, a team that last year we did beat. Let's do these upgrades real quick. There's only 3 of them, so we'll start off here with Brad. I've been trying to mostly focus on pass protector for him. Just trying to help him out in any regards there. Cannon, he's already a good run blocker. I've been also focusing mostly on his pass blocking game. I've been wanting that to be kind of the major focus for him. And then Doug Anthony, he's gotten a couple upgrades. But for his skill set right now, you know, anything in terms of short or deep, let's go slot this time with him. Just trying to get that short route running up a little bit. And we mostly got deep route running, but that's okay. Helping out his hands a little bit. He'll be a good playmaker probably for us next year. Let's do a last little bit of a stat update. I don't remember if I went through this the last time I went through. So Cliff Nicholson, end of the year, 31 touchdowns, 17 picks, over 4,000 passing yards. Good year for him. A lot of turnovers, gotta cut those down. Jonathan Howard finished the year 914 scores. The 3.8 yards per carry really struggles me and confuses me. Couldn't really get anyone else involved in terms of these other 2 running backs, but that's okay. Cliff Nicholson ran the ball over 100 times. Jerry Gay went over 1,000 yards. DJ Moore did not have a good year. Solid season, I guess. Tyler Scott provided. Kendall Bush just did what Bush does every year. An okay season. Defensively, 2 players over 100 tackles. You know, Chuck Gardner and Josh Allen leads us with 8 sacks apiece. And then a couple guys with some interceptions. So nothing standing out to me with this roster. Let's quickly look at yearly rewards. Patrick Mahomes is your MVP. Coach of the Year is Bob Bates of the Texans. We'll only focus on the NFC. Scary Terry's Offensive Player of the Year. Defensive Player of the Year is Chase Young. So the Washington Commanders must have had a great year. Quarterback Ian McDonald here for the Packers. Ben Tate, you guys know. I have not looked at this past draft class or this up-and-coming class for us, so it will be interesting moving forward. Best quarterback is Justin Fields. Let's see if there is any Chicago Bears, and there isn't. So that's unfortunate. No yearly rewards for us, but we have a postseason action now. And let's see if we can make any sort of run here. Can we get to a Super Bowl? And we did beat the Carolina Panthers 26-20, as now we play against the 49ers here in the postseason. Brock Purdy and company, they're coming to town here. This is gonna be an interesting matchup. They beat the Philadelphia Eagles. You know, we haven't really had too many matchups against, I feel like, this Niners team. As we do have a couple players to upgrade. We'll go with Elusive here with Howard, trying to just help him out as best as we possibly can. Kendall Bush here. Bush, we'll go with a physical upgrade for him. Trying to just, at this moment in time, he has kind of been a major disappointment for us. And then for Cliff Nicholson, I want to go Field General. I just want to get any sort of awareness and his accuracies up. His accuracies are in a good spot. He's the 30th ranked quarterback in this league right now. Groves here, we'll go with pass coverage for him. He's more of a depth guy for us. But now we play against this Niners team. Let's see if we can get past them into the conference round again. Do we do so? We don't. Our season is over after losing to the Niners 16-10. Damn. Well, that's sad. Grover Dexter here gets an upgrade. Ooh, he didn't even have a sack in this past campaign, and we have paid him a boatload of money. Kind of a I guess, a bad call on my end. So let's see who gets into the Super Bowl. But before we look at that, let's look at Pro Bowlers, NFC. No quarterback for us, no running back, no fullback, no receiver. Jerry Gay's the #1 tight end, so that's huge. In terms of offensive line, Johnny Derby got in. No one else. Josh Allen made it. Not even Chuck Garner got in. No one across the defensive line. Steven Timmons got in. I'm surprised that, yeah, my goodness. Kendall Fuller, no one else. A few players made it to the Pro Bowl for us. And this year's Super Bowl champs are the Atlanta Falcons, beating the Houston Texans 35-20. Desmond Ridder is your MVP. As the Falcons were in the Super Bowl last year, lost to the Raiders, but this time they beat the Texans. And for us here in year 5, it's kind of a disappointment. I mean, we went 9-8, not having a great season. We kind of picked things up and then went 1-1 in the postseason. We got a lot to figure out with this roster now. You know, is Cliff Nicholson the future? That's question obviously #1. Can we kind of give him another playmaker other than Anthony? And as we can see, DJ Moore regressed from Superstar X Factor just to a Superstar. See, Anthony is just a star dev wide receiver, so is Doug Anthony ready to become... So, I don't know if this means... Let me know down below if he was supposed to be Superstar. If he is, I am gonna change that. I'll look into that, because that's kind of unfair in my opinion to players that, in my opinion at least. I didn't do that with Brad, but I should have. But as we can see, Elijah Mitchell lost his depth trade as well. And our whole corner room basically lost it as well. Max Cox went from a superstar to stars, same with Jalen Johnson and CJ as well. See that no one else really, Dalton Kelly. But we have a lot of changes that are gonna happen, you know. In terms of the offensive line, you know, we might have to find another tackle. And, you know, Christian Ryan's here, steps in at guard, but is that really good enough? That's the question. Do we try to find a big-time right tackle, or do we try to re-sign Braston Jones here? He's almost a top 10 tackle in this league, so that's kind of important here. Do we need another playmaker across side DJ Moore? You know, I don't know. In terms of defensively, if Tyler Chamberlain walks, that means Will Landry Harris here probably steps into starting roles here, and that's okay. But that's a massive loss to the defense in the whole grand scheme of things. You know, he's the #2 outside linebacker. So that would be tough to lose. And, you know, CJ's not getting older at safety. Is it time to move off of CJ Gardner-Johnson, you know, who had another quiet year, already 30 years old? He's a top 10 safety, but, you know, you could argue that he didn't really do much of anything. He was a good tackler, but that's it. He didn't cause any interceptions or anything. And this is money that you could allocate to somewhere else on the roster. You know, we have a lot of decisions to be made entering into year 6. Yeah, guys. So yeah, guys, what do you guys think of today's episode? I know it's a jam-packed. There's a lot of things that I'm throwing in terms of information. I know there's an off season. We go through the whole regular season. It's a lot. It's a lot of recording on my end. It's a lot of information that I give you. But I want to give you guys showcasing the team instead of simming 5 years into the future and see where the team is at. I'd rather sim year by year and see what we can do. But we have 5 more tries to get to the Super Bowl, to try to win it. And I think I'm going to give Cliff Nicholson, you know, next year to prove himself. If he doesn't, we're going to be right back at the drawing board to try to find a quarterback. So guys, let me know down below what moves I should make for year number 6. Please leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next one.